The afternoon was hot, with the sun unleashing its anger on the rusted zinc of the hospital. That afternoon, the hospital was in chaos. The mad son of the billionaire had begun acting aggressive again, attacking and biting anyone that comes close to him. As usual, everyone ran for their dear life. Doctors, nurses, and even the other Mars patients locked their ward. The billionaire himself, Mr. Benjamin, stood helplessly at the corridor, his expensive black suit drenched in sweat. He shouted for help, waving his hand at the doctors who peeped fearfully from behind the doors. "Do something, he is my only son," he roared, his voice trembling between anger and desperation. But none dared to come out. The young man's strength was wild, almost beastly. He overturned hospital beds with ease. He hit the wall with his head, broke chairs with his bare hands. His piercing scream echoed through every wall of the hospital. One doctor, holding a syringe filled with sedative, tried to sneak closer, but the mad young man turned with bloodshot eyes. In seconds, he lunged at the doctor, snatched the syringe and smashed it against the wall. The doctor fled, running as his life depends on his speed. The billionaire held his head with both hands, his knees weak. "Oh God, what have I done to deserve this?" he muttered, his voice breaking. Just then, a soft cry echoed from the hospital entrance. "Let me talk to him," the voice said. Everyone turned their eyes. A poor pregnant woman stepped inside the hospital. Her red gown was torn, yet it clung to her sweaty and dirty skin. Her tangled hair scattered around her face. Her feet dusty, as if she had walked miles under the burning sun. She carried no fear in her eyes, only a strange calmness. Gasps filled the air. "What is she doing?" one nurse whispered. "Does she have a death wish?" another said. But the woman didn't stop. Step by step, she walked into the chaos, her hands resting on her round belly. Benjamin looked at her. He could see she was weary and hungry given her condition. He looked her in the eyes. She was unfazed. He had never seen such calmness in the midst of such chaos. "What is your name?" he asked. "Chioma," she replied. "Please, let me talk to him." One doctor rushed to take her out of the hospital, but the billionaire held him back. "Are you sure, young lady?" Benjamin asked. She nodded and began moving towards the billionaire's son. As she got closer, the billionaire's son froze. His fierce eyes softened, his breathing slowed, and his trembling hands dropped to his side. He stood there, staring at the pregnant woman as she came closer and closer. Chioma held out her hand and held his. She touched his face gently, as if assuring him that he would be fine. The billionaire's son rested his head calmly on her chest, like a lost child who had finally found a home. The crowd gasped and whispered, "How did she do that?" The doctor's mouth flew open in shock. Seeing he was calm, the doctor ran to the billionaire's son and injected him with the sedative as he fell to the ground. Mr. Benjamin could not believe his eyes. He was calm. His son was calm. "This is a miracle. How did you?" Chioma's hand went to her belly, screaming in pain. Benjamin caught her before she could fall to the ground. "I will stop here for a moment, not because this is the end of it, but because it is the beginning of a beginning. Before all of these Choas, there was a young, happy girl whose life was perfect. Her name was Chioma. She lived happily with her parents. Her father's name was Kenneth. He was a successful businessman, a contractor for a big company. He was a man who had integrity, the kind that would return millions of money that was mistakenly sent to his bank account. He would always tell his daughter to be like him in whatever dealings she does. Kenneth was loved by people around him because of his personality. Chioma had the best life, a good home, quality education, and the warmth of a complete family. But that warmth would soon become cold. Her happiness caught short in a blink of an eye. The night her life changed for the worst. Chioma had just turned 20. Her parents had returned home late from work. Armed men blocked their car. In cold blood, Chioma watched from inside the house as the men in black shot both her parents, leaving Chioma an orphan overnight. She was barely into her adult life, yet the weight of grief pressed on her chest like a mountain. It wasn't a robbery, it was a planned attack to silence an honest man. No one could do anything. The police, either bribed or intimidated, quickly dismissed the case as a random robbery gone wrong. With her parents gone, Chioma was left with nothing but a crumbling home and a heavy heart. The once bright world she knew turned dark and desolate. She had nowhere to turn. Friends and relatives, who had once flocked around her family's wealth, now scattered like dust. Her father's business partners, those who had once smiled and shook his hand, now looked at her with pity and suspicion. The truth of the murder was a ghost that haunted her, but no one dared to listen. Everyone was afraid for their lives. Their home was taken by the company. So were her father's other properties, leaving her with nothing. Desperation led her to the streets. Chioma took on menial jobs to survive. She worked in a small restaurant as a cleaner. At night, she would sleep wherever her tired body took her, sometimes under the bridge or even an uncompleted building. But it seemed life wasn't done with her yet. One night on her way from her cleaning job, they grabbed her. They were 5. They held her to the ground. She tried to fight them off, but her small, fragile body failed her. They laughed as one of them had his way with her, taking her virginity. Morning came, but with more sadness. 2 weeks later, she missed her monthly flow. As the months passed, her belly began to grow big. Eyes turned when she walked past. She was dismissed from her work. She begged. She cried, but no one came to her aid. With no job to survive, Chioma took to the street to beg. She ate from the dustbin. She cried when it was dark. Life was unfair to her. The afternoon that everything changed, Chioma stood up from her place in the uncompleted building. She wiped the tears, dusted her torn gown. She was hungry. She hadn't eaten all morning. As she walked, something kept pushing her to the direction of the hospital. "Maybe my helper is there," she whispered. She didn't fight it. She followed quietly like a blind man being guided. She walked slowly, her hands supporting her big belly. Then she saw the chaos, the doctors and nurses running out of the hospital. Then she saw him, the billionaire's son. His eyes were fierce, like someone possessed by an evil spirit. She saw the man in suit, screaming for the doctors to help his son. She saw the doctors run from the young man. They were afraid to go near him. At that moment, Chioma felt it, the connection. It was like she was meant to be here. She stepped into the hospital compound. "Let me talk to him," she said. This was the beginning of the beginning, where a new chapter begins for Chioma. Benjamin stared at Chioma as he held her from falling. He looked at his son, who was sleeping peacefully on the stretcher, then back at Chioma. "No one could calm my son Kelvin," he said slowly, "until you came. I don't know how you did it, but you saved the day. Let me help you," he said. Chioma blinked, not believing her ears. "Sir, my name is Benjamin Robertson. From today, I will take care of you and your unborn child. Doctor, take her inside and put her on treatment. Give her all the treatments she needs to be healthy." The doctors hesitated at first, glancing at one another in confusion. They had just witnessed this same poor, fragile-looking woman calm the mad billionaire's son they had all been running from. Now Benjamin Robertson was commanding them to treat her like royalty. "Yes, sir," the head doctor finally replied, adjusting his glasses nervously. He motioned for 2 nurses to take Chioma into one of the wards. Chioma felt her legs wobble as they helped her onto a stretcher. Her eyes watered, not from pain, but from disbelief. Benjamin followed closely behind, his face still drenched in sweat, but his eyes fixed on her. Like she was the answer to a mystery he couldn't understand. "Who are you, Chioma?" he muttered under his breath as he watched the nurses roll her away. Inside the hospital, Benjamin pulled a chair beside her. "I am curious, do you know my son?" he asked softly. "No, sir, until today I have never met your son. While I was coming, something strange happened to me. It was like I was being pushed to come here. It was a force I could not control, so I quietly obeyed it. And when I saw him, it was like he knew me and I knew him too, but I have not seen him all my life," she continued. "Sir, what happened to your son? How did he become like this?" she asked softly. Benjamin let out a deep sigh and adjusted on his seat. Then he said, "My son lived a reckless life. He kept bad friends, clubbing, taking different substances. I tried my best to stop him, but you know children. He felt he was on top of the world," Benjamin narrated painfully. "One day his friends brought him home, screaming. They said he drank some mixture and he started acting off. I brought in the best doctors. Some said the excessive intake had damaged his brain. Some said it was a psychological trauma. For 5 months he had been like this until you came," Benjamin narrated. Chioma said quietly, "I am confused. I don't know why my touch calmed him." Just then, a doctor came in. "Sir, your son is calm now, but if this continues, I am afraid no sedative will work on him." "What are you trying to say, doctor?" Benjamin asked. The doctor's eyes went to Chioma, like they were already looking at the solution. Benjamin turned to her, held her hand and said, "Please, will you be willing to stay with my son until he gets better?" Chioma hesitated. She was already fighting her demons. She didn't know if she had any strength left in her to fight another person's demon. But then she thought about the incident that happened earlier. Maybe this was fate playing out, she thought. "Yes, I will," she said silently. The weeks that followed, Kelvin improved tremendously. At first, he was aggressive a little. But as Chioma spent more time with him, he began to warm up to her. She would sing to him, read him stories. Sometimes they would even dance together. As Chioma blended into the Billionaire's family, she began to smile once again. The maids respected her. They called her ma'am, bowing to her whenever they walked past her. She loved it here. Benjamin was impressed with the changes in his son. Now he has started eating well. Chioma indeed is his savior. Kelvin and Chioma would take a stroll in the morning and evening. It helped him get used to the environment he once knew. It had been 1 month since Chioma came into their lives. Kelvin has gotten back his sanity, but Benjamin still insisted that Chioma stays. He had gotten used to having her around. Just like his son Kelvin, he too had warmed up to her that he wished she was his daughter. One morning, Chioma and Kelvin were taking a stroll inside the compound. Kelvin broke the silence. "Your voice, it's like I have seen you before. I have heard it somewhere. I have heard it scream." Chioma's eyes widened, her chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. What do you mean?" she asked, a cold chill running down her spine. Kelvin held her hand. "That night, my friends, they dared me. I was drunk. I didn't want to, but they pushed me to do it," he said, crying. Chioma's face twisted like she had seen a ghost. No, don't say it. It cannot be," her lips trembling. "After that night, I had nightmares. Every night, same nightmare. I would see myself repeating what I did to you. It was like your spirit was punishing me. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat well. I couldn't tell anyone either. I became depressed. That was why I started overusing substances. I am so sorry," Kelvin said, his body shaking. This is it. This was why she felt that connection. The baby, it was calling to him. He was the one who devoured her that night while she begged for mercy. He was the father of her child. A piercing scream from Chioma filled the compound, attracting the attention of Benjamin and the staffs. Benjamin ran to Chioma, holding her. "What happened? Talk to me," he asked, holding her face. "Your son, he ruined me," she screamed, pointing at him with trembling hand. "He forced himself on me that night. I begged him, I cried, but he still did it. He made me pregnant," Chioma said, tears streaming down her face as the walls seemed to close in around her. Benjamin's face was livid. "Kelvin, is this true?" Still shaking, he tried to speak. I didn't mean," he stammered, but the words died in his throat. Benjamin faced his son, his face red with fury. He grabbed him by the collar, yanking him upright. "You monster," he thundered. "You dare to speak? Look at her, look at what you've done." Kelvin's lips quivered. "Father, please. Don't you dare call me father." He turned to Chioma. "My dear, please, I know nothing can undo what has been done. But I swear, from this moment, you will never suffer again. I will stand by you. I will raise that child as my own grandchild. And Kelvin," he shot a glare at his son, his voice hardening, "will pay for what he has done." Chioma shook her head, her chest heaving. "Money won't fix this. Promises won't fix this. Nothing can erase what he did to me." Kelvin reached out, crawling toward her, but Chioma recoiled as if his touch was fire. "No," she cried, "don't come near me. I can't forgive you, Kelvin. You ruined everything. You are not the son I raised. You are a disgrace. And if Chioma decides to take you before the law, so be it. I will not shield you," Benjamin said, his voice filled with anger. Kelvin's face paled, his body trembling. "Father, please." But Benjamin turned his back on him, his trembling hands reaching out instead to steady Chioma. "Chioma," he said, his voice softer now, "I beg you, don't give up. Don't walk away. Let me make this right, even if it takes my last breath." Chioma looked at him, torn between anger and the fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, something good could still rise from the ruins of her life. But in her heart, she knew this was just the beginning of a deeper storm.